It's 10:57, so we'll give that 3 minutes for people to join. As people are joining, just I will be monitoring the chat box as
Okay.
well as just trying to help Kristin be able to monitor questions. If it's urgent, please ask your question. Just raise your hand and we'll get to you. If not, then we are going to have a allotted time at the end of the webinar to ask and answer any questions that you might have.
Mhm.
And thank you all for joining our first webinar with Kristin. And just bear with us.
Where's my hand? There it is. I'm looking through the list of who's in here, and I just want to like scream hi to everybody. So, hi.
Renee says hi. Hello.
Hi.
Oh, Gail says hello. Hello, hello.
Gail. Can everybody hear me? It's like if I need to talk louder, I will.
I hear you just fine.
Okay.
So hopefully everybody else does too. Okay. Everybody for the most part. Yay. Somebody said the audio is perfect. Jennifer.
That's like the longest 3 minutes ever.
I know. Uh,
So like I see that there's chats popping up, but I'm afraid to touch anything.
I know that it's all of a sudden all gonna go away. Hans says it looks good too, so I guess we're looking pretty good too. Thanks, Hans.
Thanks, Hans.
Mm, okay. Rhonda said that she can hear us, but she cannot see us. Um,
Are you on a phone or a computer?
she said a tablet.
I feel like there's ways to like open boxes and drag boxes around. I don't know how to explain it other than that.
Yes, Zoom can be tricky. I know. I think it's also like if you go sideways with your tablet too, like when you flip your phone, I think that also does something. I'm not positive though. I usually join from my computer.
I usually join from my phone and then it's like you can't really do much once you're in.
Yeah. Okay, so it's 11:01 and we have about 36 people on. So I'm sure we'll have people join as we go. But Kristen, if you want to go ahead and start off, give an introduction. Um,
Yeah.
I will just go ahead and preface saying that we are really excited to work with Kristen and provide knowledge to you guys and her expertise to the industry and to salon owners and even just customers if they want to join too. If you guys have any questions, again, just ask the chat box. Raise your hand if it's urgent, but we will have a lot of time at the end to answer any questions you might have. So make sure you jot those down. Kristen, take it away.
Well, hi guys. Thank you all for joining for our first synced up learning with JK. I am so excited to partner with JK because just personally being in the industry as long as I have it takes a lot for a company to commit to education and learning more so they can do better for their equipment, for their clients. And JK has really stepped up, in my opinion, on that front. So I'm super excited to be partnered with them and continue to just keep sharing and teaching everybody what I feel like needs to be taught. Um, of course, this will be interactive, like Peyton said. So chat any questions that pop up, and I will get to them at the end. And raise your hand. There's got to be like a little box, either like to your right, that you can open up a panel, and you'll see like chat and raise hands. We'll see if you raise your hand. And then I guess we'll get into it.
Thank you.
I'm a board certified light therapist through the Board of Natural Health Sciences. I started down the rabbit hole of red light therapy when I was going through some pretty intense arthritis issues in my knee. I was like 25 at the time. So to be that young and already having arthritis issues was insane, but I was a cheerleader my entire life, and they also told me it was congenital. There was really no way around it. When I was going through physical therapy before I had surgery to clean out all the arthritis, the only thing that helped me was my physical therapist. He called it a cold laser, and he explained to me what it was. And that dropped me down the rabbit hole of learning about red light therapy. And at the time, all I knew about red light therapy was you couldn't convert your tanning beds to red light because it was against the FDA. That's literally all I knew about red light. So I really wanted to learn more. I love learning. I love helping people. So I never stopped learning. I've owned my wellness spa in Northeast PA since 2019, and I worked there for a few years prior to that before they sold to me. And with my articles, with my education, with reaching out and making connections, I've actually been featured in so many news, magazines, publications, and I really feel privileged to be able to do that as a tanning salon owner. So we can build so much good and positive and wellness ideas in our industry. I am a senior staff writer for Sun is Life magazine. I used to just contribute one article monthly about red light, and now you'll see like anywhere from 6 to 8 articles a month with my name or staff writer or helping create the magazine, just because I'm so passionate about helping our industry grow. If you follow my personal journey, you know I have 4 kids in 6 different sports. My husband coaches 2 teams. I help out fundraising as much as I can. And being so involved in the sports world really puts light therapy and its benefits at the forefront. So when you have the medical trainer at a school, like, go see Kristin for light therapy, you know you're doing something well. But we use light therapy daily in our lives because of how much we're running around or getting hurt. So, to put it in just a quick perspective, what does light therapy do for you? The scientific term is photobiomodulation, which literally means processes that modulate, control the processes of our body with light. It's non-invasive, it has no drugs. The photons are information that our body absorbs, and then our body takes it and helps ourselves work a little bit better. The next slide is a little bit more intense just because I really wanted to show all of the different pathways that light will affect our body. Inflammation is probably the number 1 complaint that most people have when they are searching for red light. They want to get rid of pain and inflammation. Inflammation regulation actually depends on cellular energy. So light therapy fueling the cell energy directly helps. One of the biggest complaints people will come to you for, and then anti-aging. And anti-aging, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but healing, let me think. I'm trying to word this the right way so it's not too confusing. But everything your body is supposed to do is energy dependent. Our bodies are supposed to be amazing at converting fuel and oxygen and food into the energy that our cells need. But we stink as humans, and injury, disease, toxins, chemicals, lack of sleep, age, daily stress all takes a huge toll on our body, and it starts to use less oxygen to regenerate tissues. So inflammation and pain increases when we're stressed. Normal body functions decrease, range of motion lessens. Oxygen uses more, or cells use more oxygen when they're depleted or stressed. And if they're not being fed as well as they should be, it's just a downhill slope. Just everyday living can deplete our body's batteries and then add in everything else. We are constantly in a state of stress, whether you're stressed out over work or you're stressed out over school or you didn't sleep well last night. We are constantly going through something where our body's like, whoa, let's go into fight or flight mode instead of doing what we should. And that's why our bodies tend to age faster or just decline rapidly. So, under stress, our body's in fight or flight. It's not doing any of its jobs properly. So, my goal when I introduce my clients to red light is to tell them, like, at the base of everything, we're just going to get you less stressed so your body can work on itself better. Anytime you're under stress, your body is draining your batteries, is the easiest way I can put it. Now, everybody has heard mitochondria when it comes to red light therapy or light therapy, and that is because it is the powerhouse of our cells. This is the control center for energy and repair. Light therapy doesn't chase symptoms, it helps your body reduce them right at the forefront. So it makes your body heal easier and not harder. So we want to heal, we want to signal, and light just helps that. So, in our cells, in our mitochondria, there are light sensitive enzymes that normally control what our bodies do, but they're extra sensitive to the light and they get shined on like sunshine in a plant and they begin to perk up. So, under light therapy, your batteries literally start to recharge. They saturate with the photons, and then all of a sudden they're reminded how to do their jobs better. So the cells are able to recharge themselves if everything is running smoothly. We're eating the right things, we're getting the right nutrients, we're getting the right vitamins, and we're not stressed. That's the biggest point. We're not stressed. And normally we're not like that. So the light helps fuel up in that sense. Does anybody have any questions so far as I'm working through these slides?
The only one that came across was Jenny just said, I need to do a one-on-one with you. She's been seriously fighting the healthcare system to get into rheumatoid arthritis doctor for months. And she said she loves the red light and just bought the PEMF mat you recommended. She said she's
Yeah,
in
I
pain.
yeah, and to be in chronic pain sets your body on even worse of a scale for trying to do the right things body wise. So if your body has a normal process of, oh, I'm in pain, we're going to send some inflammation there and we're going to boost healing, all of a sudden your body freaks out and then it adds way too much inflammation. And then the oxidative stress, which we'll talk about in a second, pops up and then it's just constant. So our bodies don't function to heal properly, which is why there's so many different like autoimmune issues that are, I feel like so much more in the last 10, 15, 20 years. I really do think diet, exercise, lack of sunlight, everybody lives inside. We're not doing for our bodies what needs to be done. So light therapy takes on a huge role without really affecting anything else, which you can't really say that about most medicine. So having a tool that you can use either alongside traditional medicine or to be able to just take it in your own hands, power to you because I feel like we have to these days. Um, did that, can you still see my screen?
Yes, we're
Okay.
on mitochondria.
Okay. It just like it flipped on my end. So I was talking about oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is not actually a bad thing. So when your body's injured, these processes our bodies have signals what our body is supposed to do. So if we cut ourselves, we're supposed to have clotting measures come to our body. But when we're under a lot of oxidative stress, that goes overload. So you'll end up seeing super bad bruising. You won't heal. It becomes way more painful. You might get infected because our body's balancing systems are just completely on the haywire a little bit. So oxidative stress is normal. It's what triggers like immune system, every every function you want your body to be good at, anti-aging even. But it gets confused, it overloads, and then this oxidative stress is actually when things go crappy. And we talk about like free radicals. Free radicals are a huge source of oxidative stress. And oxidative stress is what ends up slowing everything down, and it works directly against your mitochondria. So when our mitochondria are five times more prone to oxidative stress than other parts in the body, you start to put together like why things aren't working right. Your brain is going to need the most energy. It needs the most fuel. It needs the most food. So there's millions of mitochondria in your brain. It's the powerhouse of your body. Of course it will. Where you go all the way down to the blood actually has no mitochondria. And that is because your blood is made to deliver energy, food, nutrients, take away waste. It doesn't take it away from you. So it needs to be able to push everything to all the mitochondria everywhere else in your body. I could go on
Sorry, I
two
didn't
and
want
a
to
half.
interrupt. Somebody just asked if
Yeah.
there was a specific wavelengths for all these benefits. I just didn't want you to get too far without that.
The wavelengths we'll
Mhm.
actually talk about closer to the end
Okay,
a
awesome.
little bit.
We'll wait then.
Um, but typically red light's going to work in the blood because that's why you get, and I'll talk about this in a second. That's why you get like that halo effect. You might put it on your arm, but you feel good otherwise because once your cells are done absorbing it, it actually pushes the benefits elsewhere. But there is a controlled, like if you want to target somewhere, and then full body exposure also works as well. But it works in your cells to boost ATP production, which I know is like the big trigger word and buzzword when it comes to light therapy. And ATP is critical for keeping you alive, keeping you thinking, and keeping you planning, is actually what I think ATP is. But that is your cell's energy. It needs lots of it to feed all your muscles, to send signals, to work with your nerves, to build new cells. Without ATP, we shrivel up and would be a lump of nothing because we need that. And ATP directly is boosted by light therapy. Red light therapy, infrared goes a little bit deeper. I'm going to go a little bit nerdy on the next slide for everybody that's like, but how? How does it work? I tried to not go way too scientific on this one and just get the bullet points that I think are easy to talk about with clients. When you put light on your body, it think of nitric oxide in your blood cells as like a brake. So we want it to actually be released from the cells. So the light therapy actually helps release that brake. And once the nitric oxide is out of the cells, it's called vasodilation. It decreases blood pressure. It reduces the inflammation. It's that cytochrome C oxidase that actually is extremely light sensitive and it just absorbs it like a dry plant drinking water. So in our cells, nitric oxide is actually detrimental because it's making our bodies not function the way that it should. It needs to be released. And when we're stressed, we have oxidative stress, our body's not working right. None of these functions are rolling the way that they should. So you put light on, and all of a sudden everything wakes up and it's reminded what it's supposed to do. That's why some people will feel a benefit of light therapy right after one session. Some people might take a little more. It depends on how sludged down their systems are. But if I could talk about nitric oxide, I could also do that for 2 hours. So I have a lot of stuff that I try to cram into a little bit of a session just to get you guys thinking and wondering and putting the puzzle pieces together on how and why it works in our bodies. The one thing I really do like to caution, there is a very common misconception that everybody is able to use light therapy, and that is not actually the case. There are contraindications for light therapy, and if you have a fluorescent system that gives less than 10 joules a session, I wouldn't be as worried about it. But with so many people investing in medical grade, full therapeutic units, there are some risks. So if you are looking at light therapy for yourself, or you are offering it to your clients, these are going to be what we should screen for to make sure people are good candidates. The last thing you need is somebody passing out because they had a huge blood pressure drop with light therapy exposure. And then what do you do from there? So if we know these things beforehand, we can refer, and you should always refer to their medical doctor if somebody has questions. We're never in the position to be like, oh, yeah, I think you have low blood pressure. I wouldn't advise this. That's for them to talk about with their doctor. None of us are licensed medical doctors, at least that I'm aware of, in at least our tanning environment. And you want to really respect the patient client privilege with their doctor and don't overstep there. But low blood pressure is really the biggest one, especially if people are taking nitrates to control blood pressure. Because if you drop blood pressure too far, that's when you pass out or you feel like dog do. And then epilepsy. There is microaffluences that happen and you can't see the light flickering, but it is there. So if somebody has epilepsy, we do want them to contact their doctors first to make sure it's okay. The doctors might say something like, we're wearing blackout goggles during the session, and some might say to avoid it completely. Um, as a general rule of thumb, active carcinomas, malignant tissues, there is a theory, it's not proven either which way, but if light therapy makes cells work better, can it make cancer cells be better at being bad? So me personally, I would support my body with light therapy. I wouldn't light up where there is cancer. But that's a conversation for somebody to talk with their doctor about before saying yes or no to light therapy. And then blood thinners. Light therapy is like the best versions of ibuprofen, and it can increase blood flow. And we don't want something to be more bleeding. Sorry, stumbling on my words on that one. Um, think head concussion. We want to wait 48 to 72 hours before we light somebody up that has a head concussion because we don't want brain bleeding to get any worse if there is a brain bleed. So blood thinners, hemorrhaging, active bleeding, of course, other than monthly menstrual cycles, should be considered when doing light therapy. And then pregnant breastfeeding, it's because it's never going to be studied. Same with medications. You will always want to have people talk to their doctor before they start a routine with that. Contagious or infectious conditions. And again, nothing's really studied for that. And I don't know if you want to be exposing something that's viral borne into an area when your clothes are off. So anything that somebody's like, I'm going to my doctor for this. Should I use red light therapy? Talk to your doctor because they are going to be the ones to know 110%. I've been surprised. There's been some people under my care that I thought for sure doctors would say no, and they gave them the green light. So we want to respect those patient boundaries for sure.
And
Now,
Chris, what about pacemakers? Somebody
so
asked about a pacemaker.
it, as long as you're not doing anything that's like electromagnetics, like terahertz therapy, I wouldn't recommend. Sauna use, I guess, is a contraindication for it as well. You want to talk to your doctor though to be sure. And then the other common misconception that I see is that you can't overdo it with light therapy. A lot of people say like, oh, if you just get too much light therapy, it's just not going to do anything. That's not completely true. Your body actually can begin to bog down. So overdoing it actually puts your body under more stress. Symptoms can actually become worse in these cases. More is not better. We want to go low, we want to go slow. Same thing with tanning. Like we're not putting people in tanning beds full session as they're coming off winter break because we need to slowly build our body up to it. That is the same thing for these stronger light therapy solutions that are out there. The most common thing people will notice is that they have a headache or they feel really fluish or really sluggish. Body aches, dehydration, but people can get itchiness. They can get hives. You can actually have color changes to the tissues that may not go away for hours or even days afterwards. But if you're overdoing it, symptoms are not going to improve. And that can take anywhere from immediately after a very strong session up to a day or two as your body processes the light therapy. So that is the big thing. Less is more. Think of it like a marathon, not a sprint. And if you notice somebody like are coming out of a red light and then they tan afterwards and they're hivey, it's it's just too much. It's too much of stuff. So you want to take a step back, slow down, maybe decrease by half the time, and then lots and lots and lots of water to help flush everything out. On a good day, if you do light therapy and maybe you go the next day, I do suggest every 48 hours, let your body recover, digest, kind of like you don't want to work out the same muscle groups each day. Um, I would really recommend increasing hydration, doing a lymphatic cleanse because your body is going to dump a lot of the waste that's in it. So light therapy is amazing at taking what's bad in your body and help flush it out. But if that happens too fast, too soon, your body has like this toxin dump and you just that's what's going on with like the Herx reactions. So lots of fluid, and lymphatic system boosted. So anybody that has vibration plates, doing that prior or even after a session is a great way to help get over this. And if you are practicing photopuncture, which that's like my specialty, is acupuncture with targeted light. There are recipes to help open the lymphatic pathways. But if you don't do that, vibration plate or pods that have vibration in them is a great way. Any any questions?
Hans had a question and it
Mhm.
says, is it safe to say using infrared up to 845 nanometers, 2 sessions a week? Is that enough?
Yeah, absolutely. Every other day, 3 times a week is usually what's recommended for therapeutic purposes, but 2 times a week or even 1 time a week to maintain the positive effects is great.
And then Rhonda asks if someone has missed a week or two of their maintenance sessions, where should they start back at time wise?
In theory, they should be fine to kick back up. It's not like tanning to where you'll burn. If somebody is really, really like sick, concentrating on therapeutic purposes, maybe go down by half and increase water just to be safe. But 2 weeks shouldn't be enough for those toxin pathways to build up that strong, not like the initial release if I were to start doing it right off the bat too strong.
Okay. And then there is a conversation going on right now about when Gail asked, what about if you have a pacemaker? And you had answered that with always consult your doctor.
Yep.
Is there something you would recommend if she is saying that a doctor wouldn't know because they aren't aware of the studies? Would you recommend her going to a different doctor, or what would you recommend?
If there's a doctor that is honest enough to say that they don't know, or you get the vibe that they don't know, a second opinion is always something that I recommend. I mean, just in general health, getting a second or third opinion for health issues is never a bad idea.
Okay, awesome. Yes, and Jennifer really helped answer that as well. So in the chat. So just thought I'd
Thank
let
you.
you know you got some support here.
Thank you. So kind of to piggyback off of what Hans said about like the 2 sessions a week, when we talk about the effective doses of light therapy, we want to have enough light that it benefits without overdosing. So I like to talk about it in terms of joules. And you'll see me if you see me on the forums, if you watch my TikToks, I really do talk about how there's so many products out there that they're not even going to give you a joule of energy and you could have it on for 5 hours and it's still not going to do anything. So it is very specific on devices that we are using. But if we know for a fact that a device has the capability of giving, say, a joule or two a minute, we want to prevent that overdose. So I usually cap at about 60. The only people that I recommend going over 60, especially on a more frequent basis, is going to be people who are in very debilitating pain, chronic issues. So we want where I have, I don't know if you can see my mouse. So
You
this,
can.
okay, so this 100 joules point, most people that's gonna be way over the threshold. Even if you're combining water and electrolytes and vibration plates and doing everything that you should to help your lymphatic system, that is a lot of power that most people honestly don't need. 30 to 50 joules is going to be that therapeutic window, and that is for if somebody's looking for pain relief and inflammation relief, or they're having trouble sleeping at night, like all the really common medical complaints are going to be helped with the 30 to 50 joule range, ideally every other day, because your body needs time to digest it, absorb it, put it into practice. If you have spa services at your salon, you have light therapy, and you have infrared heat therapy, like a sauna or a wrap, or what else is out there that people have started to do? I have a terahertz device now. You can do light therapy one day and then do heat therapy the next. It's like working different points of your body, and you're supporting different functions. Doing daily of any of those, I truly don't recommend, because you will end up bogging your system down. It's not going to work as effective. And then on the lighter range of joules, 5 to 15 joules is going to be what you want for those skin benefits. So if people just want a little bit of glow, they want some healthy skin, they just want a mild inflammation decretion, or just a circulation boost, 5 to 15 joules is going to be where you are with that. So joules are the total energy delivered over a period of time. Your skin needs a lot less than deep tissue. And this will be why there's certain units on the market that are like, oh, you only need to go 10 minutes for the skin. This is why you go 20 minutes for the full body. This is why you go 30 minutes for intense pain relief, because we're controlling the overall joules that our body gets. I think light therapy is just complete magic. Like this day and age, to have something that's so easy to use, to understand, everybody can get into bed and lay there. It's magical in my opinion. So when you place red light on the skin, and then of course infrared, deeper color waves, it triggers 10,000 reactions in your body in that second. And it simply just reminds our body what they're supposed to be doing. Cells remember how to use that energy efficiently. And this just reinforces the consistency over intensity, because your body's signaling all that no matter what. So why are we trying to go too crazy? I talked about the champagne tower, the champagne effect. Maybe. There it is. Well, there is a slide there. It's not showing on my end. Um, I'm just going to keep clicking on it, I guess. It was a cute graphic too. Once
Oh,
cells fill up, so say you are under the light therapy and you're targeting skin, but you're using a device that gives 30 joules, your skin's going to absorb everything it can hold in that 5 to 15 joule range. And then it starts to overflow into the other pathways, into the other cells, into the bloodstream, which carries those benefits elsewhere. So there is a benefit to target treating. If you sprain an ankle, of course, directly heal that area, put it over that area. But say you have a cast on and you can't light up that area directly, you can shine it elsewhere and those benefits will get delivered. And I want to talk about timing and efficiency. We live in this world that like stronger, instant, faster, more is better. And that is not the case with light therapy. I really like to see lower amounts of light therapy delivered over longer periods of time than high intensity delivered over a short amount of time. And I equate this to using a sprinkler system on your flower bed versus a firefighter coming with a hose and just drenching on full blast the flowers. Like, which one is going to absorb the water better? The low and slow versus the plants probably getting destroyed with that high intensity hose. So we want to give that longer exposure. We want to give our body time to realize that light is on it, absorbing the light, and then doing what it needs to. When you do it super strong, super fast, that's when that oxidative stress can happen. That's when people are experiencing hives. That's when people are starting to feel sick after sessions. And that's not our goal. We want to make people look and feel better. So we want to avoid, when I say that oxidative stress, that overdoing, it's a biphasic response. It's overdoing it with your cells. We want to avoid that. We want to give as much as we can without jumping over that threshold, which is why every other day is a great routine for people to get into. And as far as actually being able to get up and go somewhere daily, most people can't do that anyway. So it's a very realistic approach to say if you want to start your light therapy journey 3 times a week, every other day. And then once you feel good enough, reduce down to 1 or 2 times a week. But we want to respond with responsible protocols and not just oversaturating the cells. So sometimes too strong is not the best thing. And then obviously something that takes 5 hours to get a skincare dose isn't going to be effective either, which is why I test so many different light therapy devices because there's so much literal, I call them Christmas tree lights. Like they're pretty to look at, but they're not actually going to do anything for your skin. Now, everybody has asked me, like, what equipment do you have? What's your favorite piece of equipment? And I will be completely honest, and not because I partner with JK. I got the Red Wave in, was it May? I want to say it was like mid or end of May when we fully got everything up and running. And the entirety of 2025, that was actually one of my top three used services. So it bumped things that we're working on since January to May off the top thing. My Red Wave is my most used spa service. And I have one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8 spa rooms with different modalities in them. It is my most used service now. I I personally I love it. It's quick, it's easy, it's simple. There's nothing too crazy to learn as far as buttons and settings and programs. And I'm a big fan of it. So I really was happy to be asked to partner with JK just because the system's doing so well for me. It has 3 different wavelengths in it. And what I love about combining wavelengths is they actually support each other and boost each other to be a little bit more effective than those individual light therapy waves on their own. So when you add red light and infrared together, it's like they powerhouse together to help you out a little bit more. So when we are talking about like 630, 633, 635, that range of nanometers, that is definitely going to be more your skin benefits. And then what I say to my clients, that 660 goes a little bit deeper. So it takes those benefits and just pushes it into the body a little bit more. And then the infrared is where you get into the tissue saturation, the muscle health, the bone health. And if you've done infrared light therapy, which is different than heat, so infrared heat saunas, that's different than infrared light. But if you've done infrared on its own, infrared light, and then you've done red light on your own, and then you use a unit that combines everything, that's when your clients are going to be like, wow, this feels great. Like I feel amazing after using this because it's just so much stronger overall. So adding these wavelengths together just pushes the benefits further in your body. I'm obviously not a sales rep for Red Wave, so I can't give like all the technical specs of it, but I think it works on a 20 amp breaker.
Yep.
And so it's pretty easy and it's about the same size as just a standard like lower level tanning bed. So it's pretty easy to swap out, which is what I ended up doing, is just getting rid of one of my tanning beds for it. I love this unit. And if you are on the fence on whether light therapy is something you should try or you should offer, I have so many testimonials that will show, like somebody came in with chronic neuropathy pain for years, and within a month of consistent use, they don't have the pain anymore. It reminded their bodies what needs to be happening. and without the use of medicine or injections or seeing a doctor left and right or doing physical therapy. So we love the multiple combination of lights at our spa. Um, I have one slide that I added at the end because I was hoping somebody would ask a question to answer it, but I'm
We
going to
do
leave
have,
it on this
do you
slide.
want me to tell you the questions we have right now?
Yeah,
And then see if it helps. Okay.
yeah.
So we have Renee. She asked, do we know what jewels the SST provides?
I do not at the top of my head, no.
Okay. And then Gail asked how she can measure the output, the power output of red light.
Hey, yay, somebody asked it. Okay. I
Yay!
literally made this like 5 minutes before I went on. I was like, wait, I should probably add this on here. So I have a like $8,500 meter that is this big clunky thing, and it stays in my closet at my spa because it is a pain in the butt to use and haul around and work, and I have to set it up with my computer on readings that I don't even understand half the time. I do have like one of the little red light solar meters, which in my experience with testing, comparing the two, has been pretty accurate to what is out there without spending thousands of dollars on a meter. So if you have and you know the milliwatts per centimeter squared, and I'm specifically talking about red light, I'm not incorporating infrared because you would need a separate meter for that. So if you want, shoot me a message. I'll link everything that I use. That's quick and easy. But it's going to cost you. It's going to cost a little bit just to stock up on all of that. The reason why I have my own meters is because I've learned in a world where there's very little oversight, if people are selling stuff online, they can apparently claim whatever they want to, and there's really no oversight, unfortunately. So I really like to find the products that give what they're supposed to give. So the Red Wave gives, I want to say about a joule a minute, and that's what they claim, that's what they show. It tests accurately for that. And then there's places that are like, yeah, use a skincare session in 8 minutes. And then I go and I meter it, and you'd have to use it for 700 minutes to get it. So I like having the little guide just so I know for a fact. I also, on a salon point, what happens if my equipment's not working right? Obviously, with tanning, people are going to start to complain that they're not getting a tan, but how do you know if the light therapy devices are working the way they should? So I like having those tools. Once you know the milliwatts per centimeter squared, let's talk red light. There's like five different methods to get there. This is the one that I learned first and stayed in my brain. Um, Say you have 100 milliwatts per centimeter squared. You're going to times it by 60, and that's seconds. That's to get a minute. We're figuring out how many joules per minute your device gives off. And then you're going to times that by 0.001, and that's going to give you your total joules per minute. So in a case of something that at body length is 100 milliwatts per centimeter squared, you are going to want up to 2.5 minutes for skincare, up to 8.5 minutes for a therapeutic, that 30 to 50 joule dose. And I would never go over 16 minutes because that's going to push you over that 100 joule threshold, and it's not going to work as effectively for you. Now, if you have something that also has infrared, if you measure that separately, you can combine those milliwatts per centimeter squared. So, like in this case, maybe the red light gives off 50 and the infrared gives off 50. You can just add those two together to get your 100. And that's why some of my way old videos, I took those down because I wasn't metering the infrared either. But at home devices, the infrared's usually really, really small, so it doesn't add a lot. But in these stronger units, it almost doubles what the milliwatts per centimeter square are.
Gail also followed up that question and she said, my bed has settings for frequency and duty. Can you advise what the settings should be set at?
Um, I will have you'll have to send me what the different like hertz are and whatnot. Um, I do think sometimes those are just flashy to adjust just a little bit, because most things are just going to be full on, and then there's going to be like the flickering, which reduces by half. So if you're looking at different guides, the full amount is going to be giving what's close to the full output of the unit. And then as you adjust down, it tones it down a little bit. So you might not actually be getting as effective of a dose, but I'd have to actually look at the exact ones. So if you want to message me that, I can help you out a little bit more.
Okay. And then Katie said, which I love the way she spells her name, it's Caity.
Oh,
Just saying.
cute.
Yes. It says, what do you think of the poly system?
Polly's great. I feel like we have such amazing resources and equipment that we can have access to without being a dermatologist and having medical grade devices that are dermatology grade. The Poly is great. I have one mixed with a pod and I have one mixed with a massage chair. Uh, both are used about the same as far as usage goes. Just depends on if people want to lay down or not. But yeah, that one is a great targeting one.
Okay. Nicole, she just made a statement saying she has a few of the red waves in her salons. They are great, and we appreciate that here at JK. And then Kristen, spelt the same way as your name, Kristen
Ooh,
said, we have a red wave and are loving it. Can you explain why, after being under the light, even when wearing eyewear, if you open your eyes, it doesn't seem as bright? I have had a few clients think it's dimmed, and I don't know how to explain that their eyes have just adjusted. Does that make any sense?
I mean, it is just your eyes adjusting. I mean, when you first go into I have very dim lights at my salon. So just going in the room, it's very red. So just being in there, your eyes will adjust. And then as soon as those lights click on, it's literally just your eyes adjusting to the light. I mean, it's the same way you go outside with bright light and it's like at first you can't see and then you can see. I would use that as a real life example for a client to understand. Like it's just you getting used to it, even with goggles on, because even just for a microsecond, your eyes are getting used to it as you take them off, put them on, take them off.
And then Rhonda said, can you explain the difference between a hybrid unit and a red light panel that clients will understand easily for their benefits?
So hybrid, I'm assuming we're talking about red light mixed with tanning, is going to support the tanning process. It is not a therapeutic dose of light therapy. So when my clients are like, oh, it's okay, I just get the red light in this bed or that bed, it's like, well, you're getting enough red light to help you with your tan. If your goal is skincare and rejuvenation, I would recommend adding separate times for just light therapy. You're getting more controlled dosage in the separate units than the hybrids. I want to say the strongest hybrid unit I've tested gives about 5 joules of light therapy. So, yes, you are technically getting a skincare dose, but you're getting it while you're getting UV. So, your body absorbs it a little bit differently, and it's more going to support the tan, support the non inflammation, help boost your collagen a little bit. So, the tan's not as harsh.
Yes. And then Kristen, also Kristen English said, on joules for the red wave, did you say 1 joule per minute? I was thinking it was around 33 joules for a 20-minute session.
Uh, I want to say you're about right. What does it give
I
over a
know.
20-minute session? I want to, I thought it was like 28 joules. So it's a little bit stronger than that, but without
Yeah,
doing like 1.47, I just round to the one.
as marketing, I don't talk in joules like you, Kristen. So I usually am like, oh, it's this such and such wavelengths and stuff. So yes, we can also get that answered as
Yeah,
well.
I want to say you get like right around 28 joules for a 20-minute session, if I remember correctly. Let me just,
She did
which
say,
puts it at 1.4. So I got that 1.47 was in my head for a reason. So I round down.
love that. Okay. And then when you say support your tan, can you explain further? Tanya asked.
Oh, what's the easiest way to explain supporting the tan? So your body goes in, it senses that there's UV. Oxidative stress happens because that's your body's way of signaling we need to build the melanin up. With red light, it calms down the oxidative stress. And so your body's not overproducing or underproducing what it should or shouldn't. So inflammation would be the overdoing it as far as tanning goes. And then melanin production is our goal of tanning. So it modulates those processes to be more efficient. So you're building melanin a little bit better, your collagen's not depleting, and the inflammation stays where it should instead of going over. I always caution people who are doing light therapy before a tanning because it can really, it's almost like using a tingle, but without the sauce, the spice. It's going to boost your circulation. It's going to boost it. So some people with really sensitive skin might actually do better with red light afterwards to calm down anything that happened during the session. But while tanning's going on and you're getting those hybrid red light waves, you are calming down the overreaction that your body does. So it can concentrate on building that melanin, producing the bronze a little bit better. I hope
Okay.
that helps.
I felt like it answered it. So Gail said we have two wavelengths of red light and one of the wavelights look yellow. Why is that?
The in the red wave, I actually call like that one, I call like the 660 and 630. Like you can have red and then you can have orange. So if you actually go on my like spraysunspa.com website, which don't, it's a mess, like my brain. Um, I actually call like we have red light in here and we can have orange light in there. And that's just because of the way our body perceives those colors. But the orange goes a little bit deeper than the red.
Okay. And then Vic said, I have clients claiming 2 to 3 times a week, 2 to 3 months, and my poly has noticeably improved their vision. Can you speak up to that?
Absolutely. There are, gosh, I want to say at least 40 in-depth studies done now, medically backed, peer-reviewed studies on the benefits of light therapy and red light. As long as the light therapy is coming from non-laser sources, I say the more the merrier, because it does macular degeneration. It has been shown to slow the progress of that. It helps prevent glaucoma. I mean, the research is insane. Me personally, I was very young and dumb when I started my tanning journey and never was told to use eyewear. So I had no nighttime vision by the time I was like 23. I have my night vision back. So there's so many more studies that are actively being pursued for light therapy. When it comes to infrared, the studies are a little bit controversial. So me personally, I just say don't directly look into the light. You're not going to stare at the sun, so don't directly look into the light. But using light therapy for eye health is huge.
Yeah. So then Tanya also, she has another question after this, but she
Yeah.
wanted to ask from what you were just saying. So do you say you go into the poly without eyewear?
Me? Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Now, some people can't. Like some people, it's so bright. Like some people might have a really hard time with that. And I always recommend eyewear just to err on the side of caution. Some people might get migraines from how bright it is. Some people might have a very long time adjusting back to normal light. Some people will say they see blue and green and purple, or all they see is black afterwards. And that's just because it is a very, very bright light. So I always recommend eyewear if you have sensitivity to light, you have any issues that you might think bright light will make worse. The only one that I will not, I wear goggles if I'm using like the poly clear with the blue light. The blue light you absolutely need to use eyewear for.
And she does have another question, but
Yeah.
I don't want to forget about the person who asked something earlier in the chat. They asked if you have to go into the red light beds naked. I did say short answer yes, but did you want to elaborate on that or at all? Or
Um, if I were to try to put a light through here, you would barely see it. Um, if you meter in between clothing, it reduces it down to nothing. So the more light that reaches your skin, which is what absorbs the light, the better.
Mhm, that makes sense. And then Tanya also said, what's the best unit out there for output of the red light full body lay down?
I guess that's what you want to get out of the unit. There's so many different things that are geared for like fluorescence that are going to be great for skincare. If you're looking for more of a therapeutic approach, anything that gives 20 to 30 joules would be where my goal is. Me personally, anything that is much stronger than that, like if you're getting 50 or more joules in a session, I think that actually might be a little too strong. I'm not saying that it's terrible, but I know there's units out there that give like 100 joules in a 10-minute session. And a lot of people actually end up having issues with those, especially if they're tanning afterwards. So I like 20 to 40 joules is like my nice comfort level. And then if somebody's in chronic pain, I would just say to use that more frequently. I would not recommend daily use of therapeutic doses unless somebody is in like chronic debilitating pain.
Yes, Kristen's the first one who taught me about overexposure. So, and that is a possibility.
I had
So,
a client that I was working with, and this was just getting 10 joules a session, was going daily because typically that's not going to result in anything. Ended up having lymphatic drainage issues. And I'm
mm,
like, let's do every other day. And that cleared up. So even at smaller doses, there is a risk of overdoing it depending on how stressed our bodies are.
yes. Kristen English said, I know you recommended using red light enhancing lotions. Do you recommend those for mostly skincare reasons or even for people that are needing just pain relief?
Your skin is the pathway for the light therapy to go in your body. Same thing with how light doesn't absorb in tanning. If people are dry or use the wrong products, those aids are going to help your body absorb the light. So I absolutely recommend using something that enhances. Two-in-one lotions that are made for red light and tanning, I would save those for hybrid units, and I would use something specifically that's for like just red light or light therapy for light therapy purposes.
And then Danielle kind of asked a question that also leads me to another question that
Yeah.
we had from a salon owner earlier this week or later last week. So Danielle asked, what is the judgment call for replacing fluorescent red light lamps in a beauty angel? I don't have a way to measure the output and it is hard to judge. Like not tanning well in a tanning bed, as you said before. Is there a suggested hours use or what is the best way to determine when to change them out? And so we had a question earlier similar to this, and it
Okay.
was, can you let the difference, can you let us know the difference of replacing red light bulbs for a tanning bed rather than an actual red light bed? So I know that's a lot of questions. If you need me to rephrase those at all, I can.
You're always going to go off of what your manufacturer suggests because electricity is going to be the downfall of lamps. Just like when you have overactive starters in a tanning bed, those lamps get used up, or if beds are overheating. I really do recommend getting a meter so you can see yourself what is coming. Because what happens if you get a batch of bad lamps? Like, how do you even know? So I do always recommend having some sort of meter. Uh, I'm at about 1,500 hours used on my one set of fluorescent lamps, and they haven't budged as far as intensity goes. So I do think they last about double, even triple the strength of UV, just because there's not as many very harsh, sensitive chemicals inside of there working. So I mean, maybe general guess like 2,000 hours. It just
Yeah.
depends on what the bed itself is doing to the lamps.
But all in all, like get your meter and measure it, as you're
I
saying.
think so. I really do think so.
Okay. And then would you be able to let us know the difference of replacing red light bulbs for a tanning bed rather than the actual red light bed?
I mean, LEDs last like 50,000 some hours. So if you're doing LEDs, like I don't foresee myself ever actually replacing those lamps. I think I'll just probably get different equipment by the time that's up, if I ever even get there. Um, I would say there's so many people that have thrown like fluorescent lamps into tanning units, which Guys, the FDA doesn't like this. Insurances don't like this. I do need to reiterate that, especially if you're having insurance issues. Um, and then there's beds that are made specifically for like red light fluorescent lamps. I have actually no idea what the difference are between those all.
Okay. Um, okay, and then Aaron said, how soon do you recommend using the poly red light on a new surgical scar?
Immediately. Ideally before you even have surgery.
Yeah, awesome. Just get ahead of it.
Just
Just
yeah, just go. So studies have shown if you are lighting up the area that's about to get cut in, it boosts healing. It boosts your body not freaking out during and after surgery. And then if you can immediately light it up afterwards, it's only going to help heal faster and better.
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's magical.
And then Jennifer said, is there a difference in effectiveness when comparing LED red light versus fluorescent red light?
Um,
So,
Fluorescent tends to halo and cover a little bit better. It tends to be a lot weaker though. Depending on what type of diodes the LEDs we're talking about, I just tested a device that like metering it on the LED was like 150 milliwatts per centimeter squared. And then you went an inch away and it was down to 20. And then 2 inches away, it was down to like 0.03 or something like that. So depending on what equipment and what LED, the better diodes push it out a little bit further. So
mhm.
most panels, you should be able to have a really good effective dose within like 12 inches. Anything past there is really, really pushing it. There are some units that are only effective laying out. Like so help if you have any like LED pads versus the hard LED diodes, those are only effective skin to skin contact. It doesn't make it better or worse as far as light therapy goes. It overall goes by how many joules your skin is getting at. So it all depends on the devices,
Yeah.
which I hate to say I don't have a cheat sheet because there's so many different variables.
Yes, and there's so many different devices out there too, like everywhere.
Yes.
That's why anytime I go and purchase something, like I was on the edge of one the other day, and I just told Kristen about it, and she's like, "No, you got to get this one," and she sent me the link. I said, "Thank you."
You're welcome.
She's a true red light queen.
I'm a snob when it comes to red light
Hey,
devices. I'll wear that crown. But
hey,
I don't want people wasting their time or money. And then the worst thing that can happen is somebody starts using those devices. They heard all the good things that people have said about red light, and they're like, that didn't do anything for me. It's like, well, unfortunately, you got a weak device that isn't going to do anything. I would like you to try something that's stronger. So we
yeah.
want to make sure we're recommending stuff that actually does work.
Yeah. We did get two more questions and it's about 12. So I'll just get these answered. And then you guys can email Kristen and us if you have any questions after this, but we will be sending this out before you guys head out. So um, Kristen said, sorry for so many questions.
No,
It's all good.
never.
We love them. The Red Wave manual says to remove jewelry. Is this just to protect the bed or does it have anything to do with the red light?
Anywhere that's blocking the light is going to block the light from absorbing. So if you have big clunky bracelets and necklaces, it's just not going to hit there. But you're also wanting to save the acrylics.
Yeah. Yes, save the beds as a salon owner would want.
Yes.
And then Jennifer said, do the jewel measurements account for proximity to the body? I think most people don't realize the proximity is key.
So majority of light therapy is going to be the strongest at its source. And then as you move away, it just gets weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker. When I'm talking about jewels, I like to talk about what your body is getting, not I measured it before all the layers and all the acrylic and how far away it is from your body, which is why I appreciate the Red Wave because their measurements are at body length, not right on the diode, which of course is going to be stronger, but nobody's levitating in a bed to be all the way up to the top. So when I'm talking about it, I talk about at skin level. So if I have a red light device here and I'm here, I'm measuring it here. typically to make sure I'm getting what I want out of it.
And then we just have one. Jennifer said perfect. And then Tanya she joined a little later. And I think we did cover this, but we said, she asked, what device do you use to measure? Um,
I may have it linked on my redlightqueen.com. I might. If not, I'll add it there.
yeah.
Um,
Kristen, just send
I'll,
me the link if you want, and then
yeah.
I can go ahead and add it into our email that we're going to send out with this webinar. And some contact information if you guys have any more questions, but this isn't the last webinar. And then I will just kind of sum this up, and Kristen, you can give your final words as well. We really appreciate everybody who joined. We are excited for the next one, and it's been a pleasure working with you, Kristen, and excited for more. Keep bringing those questions. I think red light is such a huge topic, and everybody's always so curious about it, salon owners and customers. So we just want to make sure everybody is getting
Yeah.
answers and getting informed. And
So
then,
I tried to do this one as a little bit of information for everybody because red light is so mysterious and magical, and you look one way and it says something, and you look the other way and it says something different. So I wanted to give like a really direct, like, this is what it is, this is why it does what it does. You'll have to give feedback though on what you guys want to know going forward. Like, do we want one that's strictly like, how do we approach clients with sales scripts and like, I'm up for anything. I just need a path. So you guys let me know what you want to hear to talk about. And then I will make sure I give my contact information to add in there because I didn't have that slide at the end, unfortunately. But the redlightqueen.com will have a little bit on there, along with like some of my suggested like at-home products if you are looking for something for at home. But I will put up links for the meters that I use. And yeah, I'm really happy we're able to do this for everybody.
yes, of course. And as we close off, we have a lot of people saying sales scripts. So keeping that in mind for next time.
Okay.
Somebody did ask about how much the red wave is. I'm going to drop the email, our sales.
$1 million. No,
Yeah, no,
it's
it's
I feel like on the range of things, if you have invested in like upper level tanning, it's about the same as that. And it's like, with me, it's one of my most used services. It's my most used spa room. So
yes.
it's
And
definitely practical.
yes, I will go ahead and put the email. This will help give you a pricing for your area, for um, the salon, depending on how many units you get, all the things. So that's price does matter. And I want to make sure you have the right answer on that. So we'll drop that email and you guys can reach out to our sales reps and we will get that information over to you. Um, and then let's
All
see.
I see is 74 unopened chat. So
Yeah,
I'm hoping we covered
yeah,
it.
everybody was very happy. So
My
we'll
cat
go
wanted to say
through.
hi.
Oh, hello, kitty. Yes. So we'll get, if you had any questions, please make sure after the end of the session, please make sure you reach out to Kristen or I, and we will get that answered for you. Again, we will be talking about probably scripts for next for
Yeah.
next time. But thank you all again for joining, and we cannot wait to talk to you guys again and join the next one.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Thank
Well,
you,
thank you
everybody.
all.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Peyton.
Thanks, Kristen. Talk to you guys soon.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.